Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. This morning we're reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 18, Text 10. We didn't do 10 the other day. Is 10 up there?
11's up there.
Oh, what's up there? Should be 10. What's that? Okay. Because Garuda gave a Krishna Katar. He gave a Krishna Katar on Monday. So he didn't do this verse. So, okay, well, which do you want to do? Well, we'll do 10. Have you all got devices? Some of you. Ya Kata Bhagavata Katani Yoru Karmana Guna Kamastraya Pumbi Samsevyasta Bubushubi Ya Kata Bhagavata Katani Yoru Karmana Guna Kamastraya Pumbi Samsevyas Tabubu Shubi Yaya Kata Bhagavata Katini Yoru Karmana Samsevyasta Bubushubi. Vaishnavis? Anyone?
Yaya Kata Bhagavata
Yaya Kata Bhagavata Katani Yoru Karmana Guna Kamastraya Pumbi Samsevyasta Bubushubi. Word for word. Ya, whatever. Ya, and whatsoever. Kata, topics. Bhagavata, about the personality of Godhead. Katanya, were to be spoken by me. Uru Karmana, of him who acts wonderfully. Guna, transcendental qualities. Karma, uncommon deeds. Astraya, involving. Pumbi, by persons. Samsevya, or to be heard. Ta, all of them. Bubu Shubi, by those who want their own welfare. Translation. Those who are desirous of achieving complete perfection in life must submissively hear all topics that are connected with the transcendental activities and qualities of the personality of Godhead who acts wonderfully. Translation, please repeat. Those who are desirous of achieving complete perfection in life must submissively hear all topics that are connected with the transcendental activities and qualities of the personality of Godhead who acts wonderfully. Purport: the systematic hearing of the transcendental activities, qualities and names of Lord Sri Krishna pushes one towards eternal life. Systematic hearing means knowing Him. Systematic hearing means knowing Him gradually in truth and fact. And this knowing Him in truth and fact means attaining eternal life, as stated in the Bhagavad Gita. Such transcendental glorified activities of Lord Sri Krishna are the prescribed remedy for counteracting the process of birth, death, old age and disease, which are considered to be material wards for the conditioned living being. The culmination of such a perfectional stage of life is the goal of human life and the attainment of transcendental bliss. Yaya kata bhagavata katani yoru karmana guna kamasraya pumbi samsevyas ta babu shubi. Those who are desirous of achieving complete perfection in life must submissively hear all topics that are connected with the transcendental activities and qualities of the personality of Godhead who acts wonderfully. So this is Sutta Goswami. Sutta Goswami is continuing. And you did ask me now, I've described almost everything regarding the narrations about Lord Krishna in connection to the history of Maharaj Parikshit. And then he goes on to say, of course, that one who desires complete perfection must submissively hear all these types of topics. Normally we're not so interested in ordinary stories of kings and queens and whoever it is. But because Maharaj Parikshit was intimately connected with the Supreme Personality, he is a great devotee, and the position of Krishna is so wonderful that Sutta Goswami mentions it here, and he emphasizes on the point that if one wants the complete perfection of life, one must do this type of thing. Now, complete perfection, Prabhupada mentions in the Nectar of Devotion that one has to try to make a rapid advancement on the path of spiritual life, because the human form of life is very rare and it's a rare opportunity. So take advantage, seize on the opportunity and absorb oneself in this. Now, one, of course, anyone can chant Hare Krishna. But if you want to come to the topmost levels of the chanting, of the perfection, then you have to follow the prescriptions given here by the Supreme Personality and by all the great acharyas and sages. So those of us who are very serious, have taken initiation, have agreed to follow the instructions of the Guru and progress very nicely on the path. So as I said, anyone can chant, but to come to the higher levels of spirituality, then one has to become a little bit more serious. Just like, for example, anyone can go out for a walk or a jog or a run. So many people do it all the time. You can go for a run, you can exercise, but if you want to be an athlete, if you want to gain success in sport, in whatever it is, and you want to be an Olympic runner, then you'll have to do a little bit more than go out for a casual run. A little bit more than go out for a stroll every day. You'll have to do a pretty hard training. You'll have to do pretty hard training under a coach. Generally all the top athletes have got coaches, personal coaches. Sometimes they've got many coaches training that one personality. And their exercise regime is very hard. The swimmers, for example, sometimes they get up at like 4 o'clock in the morning, they go to the pool, they work out. How many ups and down, up and down, up and down. And so many hours in a day, and every day. You can't go one day or go 1 week and then take 5 months off. You're not going to make it. You're not going to achieve being an Olympic athlete if you do it that way. You can do it that way. It's up to you. You can do it any way you want. But if you want to attain the goal, then this is the prescriptions and this is the advice given. These are the guidelines. And anyone who's serious knows that. And whether it's sport or any field, if you want to be a doctor, you may have an interest in health and medicine, but if you actually want to be an accredited medical practitioner, then you have to go through the training. Anyone can just stick up a sign, I'm a doctor. But are you accredited? So then you have to go the training. And then you have to be, so many years of study. Then you have to be observed. You have to go in the field. Generally, the medicine, you have to do internship. Yeah, all the professions are like that. Architecture, usually you go to a firm and then you observe, and then before you're accredited, they have to, the firm, at least that used to be I don't know what the system is now, it used to be the old system, they had to give a recommendation. Yes, he's been working with us, and we've been observing, and they give a recommendation, and then he qualifies to get accredited. So it's, and whether it's a profession, a trade, apprentice, you want to be a carpenter, you want to be an electrician, you have to do the training. So in material life it's like that, and in spiritual life, if you want to go to the upper levels of it, then it has to be like that as well. Because we're not born with that expertise. We're conditioned souls. And we're very affected just by our mind and senses from so many births. So we haven't got that training. And Prabhupada used to tell us all the time, I've mentioned this many times before, that he used to say to us, I'm training you. I remember one time someone, my god brother Dwaipiana, he cooked a lunch for Prabhupada. So they brought it in. And then Prabhupada was there and he picked up a puri and he went like this, tink, 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 tink. He said, what's this? Oh, that's a puri, Prabhupada. Tink, 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 tink. That's not a puri. It was all like flat. Puri is supposed to be puffed up. And tink, tink, this is not puri. If you didn't know how to make puri, why you didn't ask me, I will teach you how to make the puris. So actually, Prabhupada went down. And so many times like that. I remember one time that Deepak is another devotee, that he thought that he'd do something different and he'd make lemon rice for Prabhupada. So lemon rice, Prabhupada was staying in a house outside the temple, so he made lemon rice. But normally you can do a kind of a lemon rice, but he did it all wrong. And Prabhupada had it and he made a face. He said, what's this? He said, Prabhupada said, oh, that's a lemon rice, Prabhupada. Lemon rice? Oh, it's too sour. He said, bring me some sugar. Mixed it all. He said, I'll take it as a sweet. So you speculate and you try, but you haven't got the training. And you don't speculate. You can do all sorts of damage to your system. To speculate on what things you cook, and then you eat it. You can do all sorts of disasters can happen. So very, very important. So I'm training you. You have no training. Sometimes when someone would do something wrong, I remember that. Oh yeah, let's say Satsarupama was. So Prabhupada came to the temple in the morning, he was living out there, he came to the temple and he gave class, he said, where's my glasses? And Satsvarupa Maharaj at that time was his servant. And he said, oh Prabhupada, I forgot them. Oh, you always are forgetting things, every day. And so Prabhupada was just looking at him. So, said, Prabhupada, I'll send someone back real quick. Get your glasses. All right. So he wasn't satisfied. He said, I'm sorry, Prabhupada. He wasn't satisfied. Another time also, I think with Satsvarupa Maharaj, Prabhupada had asked about a letter. He sent a letter and he wanted to add something into the letter, a separate type of instruction, apart from the letter. So Prabhupada asked, did you send that separate letter that goes with the other one? Oh no, Prabhupada, I forgot to put it in. But then they won't understand the first letter if you haven't got the second. Oh, I'm very sorry, Prabhupada. So he's just looking. I'm very sorry. So then what are you going to do about it? So, okay, you have to fix it. I'm sorry, but how long are you going to be sorry for? Then you have to fix it. All right, I'm sorry, but if you keep doing it over and over again, it is said that the first class disciple, he anticipates what the guru likes and just does it, and does it very nicely. And the second class has to get the instruction, then they do it. And then it's all right. And then the third class is like, even getting the instruction, they keep doing it wrong, and they do it wrong again, and they do it wrong again, like that. Keep doing it wrong. So, when are you going to learn, Prabhupada? I said, but I've instructed you so many times. And there was another time when the devotee said to Prabhupada, oh, I'm very sorry, Prabhupada, I'm such a fool. I'm such a fool. And Prabhupada said, but how long are you going to remain a fool? All right, but how long are you going to remain a fool? So we have to improve ourselves. We can't just stay, all right, you made a mistake, then okay, fix it. Fix it. So this is the training. The training has to be there. And then, in the Varnashram system, they had the training right from the early ages. They would get trained in the school of the Guru. When we went to Ujjain for a meeting, Bhakti Charamaj took us to the ashram of Sandipani Muni, where even Krishna and Balaram went to school. Now, Krishna and Balaram didn't need to go to school. They are the source of knowledge for everyone. What do they need to go to school for? They are giving the knowledge to everybody else. But to show the example, they went to the school. So this training must be there, and so the Varnashram system, the training from the young age, they learn all the different subject matters. They also learn about the Vedic, and they learn about spirituality. So this is very, very important, the spirituality. So this type of effort has to be made. In the material world, it's not easy. I remember one of our former prime ministers here, when he had to introduce financial austerity measures many years ago. Heavy financial austerity, there was overspending, and then from the previous government, so the new one came in, he had to really cut back, and it was really hard, and people were complaining. And then, he got interviewed one time. So people are suffering. What's your message to them? You've introduced all these measures to cut back, and people aren't getting what they were. But what's your message to them? And he said, I have a simple message. He said, life wasn't meant to be easy. That's what he said. Life wasn't meant to be easy. Of course, everyone, of course he got attacked for that too. He got attacked for that statement. Life wasn't meant to be easy. Well, you're supposed to be helping us, all these types of statements came in. But it's true, actually, life in the material world is hard. And everyone has to work hard. You can just not do anything and just hang around, but if you want to live, you want to eat, if you want to do things, then you got to work. So everyone has to work. There's that one famous verse, Nayam deho deha bhajam niloke kattam kamanati vidbujjami tapo divyam putraken sujjat jasmat brahma sukyam tvanantam. Lord Rishabdev was instructing his sons, exactly, I'll say. My dear boys, of all the living entities who have accepted material bodies, one who has been awarded this human form should not work hard day and night simply for sense gratification, which is available even for the dogs and the hogs that eat stool. Once you engage in penance and austerity to attain the divine position of devotional service, by such activities one's heart is purified. When one attains this position, he attains eternal, blissful life, which is transcendental to material happiness, which continues forever. Brahma Sokyam Tvanantam. Now, Prabhupada gives a very long purport here about this, and the gist of it is that, being born in the material world, whether one's a human or whether one's a dog or a cat, they're all forced by the circumstances of life in the world to work hard, to just struggle to exist. Where's food? In the lower species of life, where's food? Just like, the lions that are very powerful in Africa. It's not that food comes easy to them. Sometimes they go days without getting any prey and eating. They go days, sometimes a week. So it's very hard. Just life in the world, whether one's a lion, whether one's a bird, and there's always anxiety. I remember sitting here years ago. I was just looking. There was a kind of a grub crawling around on the ground, and so for some reason a spider jumped on it. A spider jumped on it. Not for some reason. They wanted to eat it. Spider didn't. I once saw a spider captured a bird down the bottom there. Then when our office was down the bottom down there, the big banana spider, the big huge things. And it was a frog. It was a frog. So the frog. Oh, it was 2 times. It was 2 times. One was a bird, and the next one was a frog. Have you ever seen a spider eating a bird? It was a small bird, and a frog, a big frog. So it's a struggle for existence. The frog's just existing, and the bird's just existing, and then all of a sudden it's just, and the one here, the spider jumped on the bug, and then a bigger bird came down and ate the both of them. Couldn't believe that. Just swoop. I didn't even do it. Swoop down. Must have been. I remember I was at New Varshana, New Zealand one time. I was looking at, all the little bunny. Oh, look at all the little bunny rabbits running around here. Right? I saw all these. I was up at Mudry's place. A few little rabbits. All of a sudden, this hawk swooped down, picked up the bunny rabbit, and took him up to the tree. I said, "My God, struggle for existence." One living entity is food for another. So in the lower species, it's tough. It's a tough life. You can be just going along, minding your own business. Someone jumps on you and eats you. Just imagine if I was walking down the street and all of a sudden something jumped out and just started eating me. And quite often they eat them alive. You're there, someone's eating you. Imagine that. You want to live in that type of existence? You're walking along, mind your own business. So life is a struggle, especially for the lower species, even really, really tough. So in human civilization, of course, it's a little bit more advanced as far as material circumstances, but nevertheless, it's so here. Lord Rishabh said, "Look, everyone struggles in the world. Everyone works hard." And what for? It's a miserly return. The different species they get a grub or they get something, and for what? It's like you work hard, and what do you get out of it? I call it the case of diminishing returns. By that expression, you put the amount of work you put into it. You don't get that much back. When you put more work into it. I remember one of the godbrothers came and he cooked. It took all day to cook this feast. And he was working hard from the morning, and there was some appearance day. And then at the end of the day, we all had a big feast. And then we finished that feast. We finished that feast in like 20 minutes. It was finished. So he comes out. He said, I cooked about 10 hours for this, and you guys demolished this feast in 20 minutes. I said, wait, 10 hours for 20 minutes. Diminishing returns. And I remember another godbrother told me, he said, I've been married for nearly 40 years, he said. He said, I'm poorer now than when I started. He said, I had more money in the beginning. Now I'm more in debt. So, he's just scratching his head. So life in the world is like that. So, all right, there's no getting around working hard. You've got to work hard, you've got to go to work every morning. And Prabhupada actually here in the purport mentions this. He said, he gives an example, just like people get up really early in the morning. I remember in my student days, I used to go downtown, to college downtown. So then I had to get up and then I had to get to the train station, right? That was like half an hour walk. Get to the train station, then get on the train. That was like about an hour and a half. And then I'd get off in town, and then I'd have to get up to RMIT up there. That was another 20 minutes. And that just to get there. And then all day, and then again at night, every day, every night, they've got that saying, the rat race. The rats do same thing every day, day in, day out. And so Prabhupada uses this example. A man gets up early in the morning, has to go by public transport to the office. When he gets to the office, works hard all day. And these days, people work. I mean, I've just been noticing, even from my day, that people are working so hard. They go right into all this social media and email and stuff. That people, one devotee told me that they were working in IT, and they said that they got up in the morning. They had to get up about 5, 6 o'clock and then be in work by 8 o'clock. So then when they opened their email, they saw they got an email from their boss. When you get in, do this, do this, do this, do this, do the other thing. And that email was sent at midnight. Right? So that means the boss was working right up until midnight. Sending this out. So work hard. So Prabhupada makes a point. Look, people are working hard, and what do they get out of it? All right, some by karma make some money or this or that, the other thing. And they're relatively well off. But how many people are in that situation? Not many. Not many. Even if they get that situation, they're always still in anxiety. Those who they've got a lot of money, they're worried how they're going to lose that money. Who's going to come and take it away? Whatever, if you may attain the topmost. I was talking to one of our devotees formerly. She was a big model. She appeared on Harper's Bazaar and all these big kind of Vogue front page. She was a big model, especially in Europe. She's from New Zealand, but she went to Europe, became a very, very big model. She told me that actually models, even the most successful, they're always in anxiety. I said, what do you mean they're in anxiety? These top models are in anxiety. They've got everything, money, fame, this, that, the other. And she said, no, they're always in anxiety because the beauty only lasts so long. You see. And especially they like models very young. So, by 25, that's it. You've only got a few years. Fading, and there's a wrinkle, and I got a grey hair here or something like that. So, so whatever field it is, a sport, how long are you going to be in sport? Right? You play these rugby or soccer or, heavy, intense games, right? How long, what's your window of activity there? 5 years, 10 years, and then you've got injury. You're out for a couple of years, you do your knee in or, I met one guy, he said, he was from Manly rugby club in Sydney, Manly, right? And he said, I'm out for two, 3 months, I did my knee in. And I'm a bit worried too because there's all these young guys, young guns, raring to get my spot in the team. If I stay out too long, there won't be a spot left. They'll be in. Everyone's in anxiety. So, all right. So people might not like Krishna kind of spiritual life, but wait a minute. And they may criticise. Well, you so many rules and so many things you have to do. Wait a minute. You're already doing so many things in the material world. This is the point Prabhupada makes here. You're already working hard. And what's the result of that? You're still, even if whatever you get, whether you get or you don't get, that's karma. You can get something, you can lose it, you're not getting anything at all. Who knows what the situation is? But of course, at the end of life, you may, people these days, if they can earn enough money to buy a house. It's a huge thing. Around the world, and everything's so expensive. To buy a house. Who can buy a house? Even to buy a car. Huge amount of money. It's all disproportionate, the amount of hours you have to work, the money you get, and all this other things you have to buy. Well, it doesn't add up. I remember in my time that my father worked, and that was enough. My mother worked sometimes casual. But these days, go to any family, there's usually both are working. Right? Husband's working, wife's working. The kids are staying at home longer. The kids are staying at home. You've got 30 and 40-year-old kids at home. Right? Can't get them out. One family, we can't get them out. Before, when we were young, we couldn't wait to get out. Now the parents are saying, we can't get them out of here. And why? Because it's so expensive. You know, that's what they tell me. And I speak to the kids these days. Well, you know, how come you're still at home? You know, yeah, well, it's too expensive out there. Unless you bunk in with 5 or 6 others, right? Unless you're in 5 or 6 other people, you just can't afford to live out there. You know, and this country has become one of the most expensive countries in the world. You go to the supermarket, you know, you can't have, you know, just to buy a few things, you can't have any change out of $50. I remember Patapana going down the supermarket one time shaking. He said, "Gee, I just spent $250 down there. But look at what I bought. A few things." So it's not easy, not an easy life. So all right, not an easy life. So if we take up the spiritual life, all right, if you want to get to the high levels, anyone can chant, that's fairly easy. But if you want to get up to the high levels, then you've got to do some tapodibyam, take on some hardships voluntarily. See, a lot of these hardships in the material world, they're forced on you. You know, you've got to have a job, so you've got to go and find work. I mean, very rarely someone say, "I love my work. I really enjoy getting up every morning and going on to work. I love it." I mean, you know, someone might, you know, be lying for sure. Maybe someone, but very rare. But, you know, all right, so you're going to do your austerity, but do your austerity voluntarily. So devotees are voluntarily accepting some hardship. We want to get to the topmost level of spiritual. All right. So now, and Prabhupada makes a point here. Systematic hearing the activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That means knowing Him gradually, and when you know Him in truth, gradually, systematic chanting every day. You know, we say chanting every day because we're so conditioned, our minds are all over the place. So therefore we've got to do this chanting every day. Sometimes we don't feel like it, but we've made a decision at some point. We're volunteering to accept, to push ourselves a little bit. And what's the benefit? Tapodibyam putrikena satmam. You'll go to the topmost positions of spirituality. Brahma sokyam tvanantam. Brahma means the pleasure of Brahman, the pleasure of spirituality, which is eternal. Now others are temporary. I mean, you may save up enough money to buy a house or whatever but when you die, you can't take your house. I say this often. You know, when you die, you can't take your house with you. That house stays behind and you're gone. But in spiritual life, that's eternal. That pleasure, that benefit is eternal. That relationship, which is actually always eternal, but you've reawakened it again. And so, but because it's dormant now, you have to adopt certain procedures and regularly. As I said, you know, if you want to be an athlete, you can't go training hard for 3 weeks or a month or 2 and then takes 8 months off. No one's successful doing it that way. So same in spiritual life, you've got to do regularly, every day, chanting, hearing, doing seva, doing service, these things under the guidance of this, but don't speculate. No need to speculate because we're not trained yet. We don't know how to do it properly. Don't speculate, follow. It's like I sometimes tell the story of the foolish disciple. He went to the guru, called him and said, it was late at night, he said, bring me a glass of water. So then the disciple went over and he said, you know, water, maybe Guru would like some milk. I'll bring him some milk, I'll bring some hot milk. So then when he was boiling the milk, and he said, you know, just milk by itself, you know, maybe I'll make some puris. Puris and milk would be good. Guru would really like some puris with the milk. And then when he was making the puris, he said, well, you know, you just have puris by themselves, you know, better make a bit of sabji. So I like sabji, puris and milk, bring back to the Guru. So then he was making the sabji. Well, sabji without rice, you know, you've got to have rice with sabji. So then he said, you know, he made rice, he made sabji, he made puris and milk. Meanwhile, the Guru was waiting for his water. And an hour and a half later, he comes back with a whole lot. What's this? I just asked for some water. Now I'm going to take rest. So don't speculate. So to follow the procedure under the direction of the Guru. The Guru, as I said, who is the Guru? The one who's been also the good disciple. One who's been a good disciple, they can be the good Guru. They have also done the same procedure as you've done. You see, they have followed the same process, so they're experienced. Really, Guru means someone who's experienced on the spiritual path. who received the training. And that's the practice that's there, not only in spirituality, but in all things. Who's going to teach you through university? Who's going to teach you through your trade? Those who have already done it before you. And that's the best way to learn something. It's the easiest way. You can try to learn it by yourself. Maybe you'll advance. Just imagine if you were studying medicine or architecture or law or something like that, and you went to the uni and we just gave you the books. Here's the books. Go home. Come back for your exam at the end of the year. Would you be very confident? You wouldn't be very confident. Maybe someone can do it. Come back, just read the books themselves. So books in themselves are not sufficient. You need the knowledge, but you need someone to explain the knowledge. How many times we got a new appliance and, we've got the instruction manual and, I do this and it still doesn't work. It still doesn't work. What's the matter with this thing? Can't get it to work. So then what do we do? Okay, we're going to ring up the person, the support person or whoever at the company. What's going on? Oh no, you read that wrongly. You made a mistake. Of course, if you're way off, you can just blow up the whole thing. But which I've done a few times before. And so they said, no, you read it wrongly. You have to do it like this. You didn't follow the procedure right, or you read it wrongly. So then when you get that instruction, you go, hey, it works. So that's the easiest way. You can do it the hard way. Try to work it out yourself. That's the hard way. But why do the hard way when it's very nicely laid out for you and out of the kindness of their heart? The gurus, they don't want anything from you, and Prabhupada used to say, I'm not one, don't mind. Sometimes he would say, don't mind, I have to correct you. I'm your guru, that's my duty. They don't want anything. I'm not accepting for myself, Prabhupada would say something. I'm accepting this service on behalf of the Supreme Personality of God. I'm training you how to do it. So if you're going to put some effort into anything, why not put it into spiritual life? We put it into spiritual life because that benefit is eternal. But first of all, you have to get the systematic knowledge. You have to understand Krishna. And this is a gradual process. And then when you understand Krishna, I always remember this verse for Aham Savasya Prabhava. Let me get it. Matasavam Prabhatati Iti Matvabadanti Buddha Bhava Samanvita. I always remember this verse because I remember when I was new devotee, I was out there selling Bhagavad Gitas, and one heavy Christian, aggressive Christian person came up and said, where does it say in your book that Krishna is God? And because I was a new devotee, I actually didn't know. I was just selling the books. So I'm going, it's in here somewhere. And then he said, well, see, kind of fumbling around in there, trying to find the specific verse, right? So then after a minute or two, he said, I knew you don't even know yourself. Then later on that night, I found this verse. I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly know this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their heart. It's very important. Now Krishna, he's saying, he is the source of all spiritual and material worlds. So I remember reading this before I was a devotee. I'd forgotten about it out in the street that day. But I remember reading that. I remember thinking to myself, now, that's a pretty bold statement by anyone to make. Someone is saying, I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Just imagine if I stood up and I said, I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Right? Maybe if I stood up or you stood up or any one of you stood up and said, I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. Now I thought that, well, either Krishna actually is the Supreme Personality of God or he's a crazy man. Right? He's a nutter. Right? Either he's a nutter or he actually is the Supreme Personality of God. So therefore, all right, let's read on. Let's read on, and then you read on, you understand, all right, okay, now this makes more sense now, yeah, actually. And then when you come to accept that, yes, this is the position of Krishna, and when you fully the wise who perfectly know this, perfectly know it, they engage in my devotion. So, okay, so Prabhupada is pointing out here that to attain complete perfection, one must submissively hear all the topics of and then he goes on. Systematic here means knowing him gradually in truth and fact, and this knowing him in truth and fact means eternal life. So those who actually know Krishna fully, they engage in the devotional service. A very, very important verse from Bhagavad Gita. Savasya Prabhava. So the culmination of such perfectional stage of life is the goal of human life and the attainment of transcendental bliss. And it's very nectarian, chanting here. Of course, in the beginning it may not seem that way. This chanting. Some people are not attracted to it at all. They don't like the chanting, but that's because of their jaundiced position, Just like if you've got the disease jaundice, your liver, everything, you go yellow, and everything, even if you take sugar, it tastes bitter. But it's that very sugar that's going to bring you out of it. So in the beginning, perhaps, it doesn't seem so sweet for those. It depends on your conditioning. I remember one fella came into our Food for Life in Melbourne, and to get some prasadam. And he was a real kind of heavy, kind of beer drinking type of character. So, and then he came along and I started offering the different prep. No, I don't like any of that. All I like is this drink here. What's that drink? The lassi. You like the lassi. He didn't like the other, but somehow he says it's kind of sweet, but it's got a little bitter in it as well. Reminds me of beer, but it's sweeter than beer. and my doctor said I have to go off the alcohol, so give me that stuff. So in the beginning, and the other, but then gradually, then after taking the lassi for quite some time, then he started eating the other things, and he gradually became very attached to eating all the different varieties of prasadam, and he came to the programs and so on and so forth. So many cases like that, so many devotees come with their previous life. So the effect is there. I remember the one devotee in Bali telling me, he said, I was a chain smoker. And I used to smoke 4 or 5 packs a day of cigarettes. 4 or 5 packs a day. I tried to go off it. I knew it was killing me. Try to go off it, I'd go off it for a month, I'd go off it for 2 months, I'd come back again, try it again, up and down like that. He said, but then I met the devotees, and they said, and I asked them, I said, it's very difficult for me to I was all kind of agitated because of that. I said, to focus on anything is very difficult. He said, well, just try this chanting. So just keep chanting. And then he initially tried it, but he couldn't stick to it. Then the devotee said, no, just keep doing it. And then he found out that by chanting, continuously took away physically took away his desire to smoke cigarettes. He found that's what the effect was by chanting. When he felt the urge come up, strong urge to smoke, he would just start chanting, and then somehow or other, miraculously, it would subside. He said he couldn't believe it. I tried all other things, and every time he did it. So then he was just chanting all day. And now he's one of our senior devotees, the president of one of our temples over there. Many years ago this was, and so many stories like that. So that does have a result, and has a very good result. And it may appear not so good in the beginning, but gradually you'll be purified, becomes very, very sweet. Jai Hare Krishna. We haven't got much time for any questions or comments. So I went a little over time, but maybe just one. If anyone has any comment or question they'd like to ask, maybe we can do just one. No? Okay.
Comment on this struggle for existence. As a purport of Prabhupada says, it's more difficult to go to hell than to go back to Godhead.
More difficult
to
than?
Go to hell. It's more endeavour. In other words, he writes that it's more difficult to go to hell than it is to go back to Godhead.
To get I didn't get it.
More difficult?
To get?
To go to hell.
Oh, go to hell.
Yeah, because you've got to endeavour so much.
Oh, you?
He says you've got to do casinos and so many things. Prabhupada elaborates. Krishna consciousness has got offered for a bit of water to relieve the Hare Krishna. It's actually easier to go back to God than it is to go to hell.
Yes, that's right. You have to work hard to go to hell. for a long time. Of course, to get to the higher levels does take some endeavour, as I was saying, so we have to focus on that. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol.